Fresh crack out of nowhere. Okay. Welcome back, Tackles and Tinnies listeners. We got Chris. You know what that means. We're back on the SuperCoach. Chris, how's all your SuperCoach planning / Vegas round fiascos going?
Ryan Reynolds, I'm good. I'm excited to be back for SuperCoach. After finishing in the top 1K last year, I decided I'm going to take some time away from this game, and I tried real hard, really. Not opening the app until, January 26th, Australia Day, but just both you and Jake, your enthusiasm just sucked me right back in, Yeah, no, I'm okay at the moment. I think I played very few players, and I am on, at the moment, 168 from about 3 players. I played
Nice.
Jackson Purdue, Dan Atkinson, and obviously Trey Mooney with his try. So I'm a little bit low in the moment. There's some big scores happening around, 500, 600, and I'm getting a bit of FOMO, and I'm a little bit, I'm kind of almost just double guessing some of my, my selections I've made. I'm hoping it, or, when Sunday rolls around, this Sunday, my score looks a little bit more, worthy and adequate.
Yeah. Well, Chris, you've undersold me because I'm actually on 716 points. I do have a fair few players. I got Reed Marnie, Couchman, Mooney. Who else do I have? Atkinson, Trash, Purdue, Ritter, Setutu. Tom Chester didn't play, but he was in there. And then my boy, last minute switch out. We were talking for many, many minutes in the group chat regarding Drinkwater versus the man of the moment, Kalen Ponga. I managed to stay true to my gut, and I went with Ponga. And I was tossing up between my boy Critter, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't go Critter. If Ponga's there, I'm going to take a risk. VC on Ponga, and it paid off straight up. I was like, heck yeah. SuperCoach points. I'll take it. Put the Macassini in, the Macarena, looping him. Definitely taking that with 116 points. It's put me up to a good stead for sure.
Nah, fortune favors the brave, it's well deserved, especially for somebody who, last season couldn't finish off the season, looked uninvolved, and he's come out. I think if that's one thing that, round zero has taught us is, most NRL teams are literally one superstar away from winning the wooden spoon. The Knights couldn't score at all, in the trials against the Bulldogs, and they just look like world beaters, and their fans are, just about to book flights to Sydney in September for the grand final.
Mate, Newcastle looked like a different team when Fletcher Sharp was out there, and I thought Pong was going to go for about 200 points at one stage. He was just racking up as a halfback. As I said, we said it in the group chat, like Pong was going to be the halfback in the red zone, and then Fletcher Sharp and Dill Brown are just going to be feeding off him. And my God, Fletcher Sharp looked good. And if he didn't go down, bro, I reckon he'd have been close to 150 points the way he was progressing. What, he was 60 points and felt like 30 minutes or something. So it reminded me last year when you were death riding Herbie Farmworth, and Herbie Farmworth got sniper rifled, and he was like 80 points in 30 minutes as well. Yeah, as you said, fortune favors the brave, and Ponga, I tell you what, he's probably going to be a guy that a lot of guys are going to probably be bringing in next week, particularly Drinkwater owners. You're a Drinkwater owner, correct?
No, not at all. I don't have Drinky at all. Do you know what? Drifting away, I'm actually surprised by how many people in our private league picked Ponga. It wasn't just you. It was Adam, it was Mark, Paul, Lockie. I think there's a whole bunch of you guys all had Ponga. I couldn't believe it. It's just a complete, and you guys all have VC'd him, and kudos, guys.
To be fair, Paul, I know you're going to be listening to this one, mate. He messaged me. I'm like, get Ponga in, bruh. Get Ponga in. So, Paul, You're welcome, my friend. But, bro, I reckon Vegas round, and also draft. You got to talk draft, because all after the draft, post-draft, I was like, Karaz, he went too high. Second round pick. I should have gone another center. There's so much center depth. Karaz, I apologize, my friend. 99 SuperCoach points outside my boy Critter. I'm happy he's back. He's the GOAT. I was never wrong. Trust my gut.
Look, Kiraz, I think just it makes so much sense when you think about it, especially with the new stats changes, as long as, that offload, goes, to somebody's hands, and you know how much he loves, turning his back and then just popping it up and offloading it, it's an automatic 4 points. He's just going to rack up so many power stats. It's OP.
Are you thinking maybe Kraz has to come in post-buy?
Yes, I guess it really, there's, at the moment, there are a lot of people already racking up in terms of people I need to trade in. That's Ryan Couchman, Elam Lukey. I was like, I've only got 3 trades with a boost, and we've only played 2 games. It's all a little bit mildly concerning.
Trust the gut, mate. Trust the gut. And I think it's a good little segue, Chris, to sort of look at team lists at the moment. And there's a lot of surprises, I guess we could say, in regards to potential picks for that. And I'm going to share my screen. Look at that, multimodal, school teacher mode activated. But yeah, as we can see on screen, guys, we've got the Storm Eels game this coming Thursday, tomorrow night. We are filming Wednesday the 4th at 6:14. So assuming nothing changes till then, one of the major things we could talk about is for the Melbourne Storm is definitely the Moses Leo at centre with Nick Meaney shifting to the wing. What are your thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, I'm pretty big on Moses Leo. He is in my team at the moment. I'm running 5 cheapy centres this year to start the season, and the moment I saw he was in the centre position, I was like, yep. It's a bit of a high risk situation. If he doesn't play well, there's a chance that Nick Meaney gets moved back into the centre. Marion Seve could come in. There's a whole bunch of issues, but look, he's in there for the moment. I'm jumping on him, and I like him a lot.
Do you prefer him at centre or wing?
I'm gonna say I like him more at. I'm gonna say I like him more at centre, only because of the new stat changes. He'll have a couple more tackles, and he's going to benefit from passing the ball through the hand and getting that try assist. So
yep.
I think it's better that way.
Yep. And obviously another one for Melbourne Storm, we got the Joe Chan Lasati debate. Lasati was always going to be the front runner at the start of the off-season. Joe Chan had a very good game for the Maldives and obviously developed and stayed true to Craig Bellamy's hard-working mantra, and he's seemed to lock down that right edge alongside Jerome Hughes. That is absolutely monumental upside there for Joe Chan, around 309,000. He's been in and out of my team, and you're probably going to have to convince me to get him back in. But what are your thoughts on the Joe Chan versus Lasati debate? Because obviously Sean Bloor, potentially round 2, potentially longer as well. Obviously Trent Liero is currently suspended until round 3 with Alec McDonald there at the lock position. What are your thoughts on the sort of edge position for Melbourne?
Yeah, well, look, it seems like Joe Chan has locked that right edge in, and that's a position that everybody wanted Lasati for, because it's playing off Jerome Hughes' hip. I think it's much of a muchness really with both of them. I don't think you're going to do badly with them, but I also don't think you're going to do great with them. For people who've been playing SuperCoach for a while now, Joe Chan has burned all of us in the last 2 years. He's a few times he's played 80 minutes and he's really averaged, 30, 40, 50. So he's been a bit of a dud, unfortunately, or not SuperCoach relevant anyways. Sadi's a bit of an interesting one. He played quite well in the trial games, and he racked up quite a lot of base. I think most recently he had like something at 47 tackles, and I think he can do that at left edge. It's just there's so much rotation risk, with Sean Ball about to come back, and then it's all good if he goes and plays at 13, and if he comes off the bench, but we don't really know. He could be a Ryan Couchman but you don't know either. Like he was in everybody's teams, in pre-season, about 45%, and now he's just dropped down to about 30. And I think I would probably have to agree with, the majority's take on that. I think I'm personally at the moment staying away. There are a lot more good cheapies in 2RF that you can buy instead.
Sorry,
I'm sure we'll talk about.
To make sure I heard that right, you're not doing Joe Chan or Lasati?
No, not at all. I'm
Interesting.
Keeping away of them. I'm just going to hedge by simply saying, look, I've got a cheapie, in the Melbourne Storm backline with Moses Leo. That will have to just be enough for me.
Yeah. Do you see potentially Lasati filling in for that Bloor position, and then where Bloor comes back, Lasati then goes back to the right edge, or you think Lasati would then come off the bench?
For me, it doesn't really make any sense, because if he had won the right edge position, then he would be playing there, and then you just move Joe Chan to the left. And then when Sean Bloor came back, then just Joe Chan moves. Why does he have to start at the left and then move to the right? It doesn't really make too much. It could be, it could be something like a Val Holmes situation where he's just moved to the right, this week just to defend Stephen Crichton, and he'll go back to the left next week. But I don't see that happening. Or actually, I don't know that it's going to happen. So therefore, I have to assume that it's Joe Chan that's won the position.
Yeah, particularly that type of caliber player as well, like Brian Toto, swift between left and right, Stephen Crichton's son left to right. He just mentioned Valentine Holmes, similar. Obviously, guys can chop and change, but I feel like guys who are sort of trying to establish their career and gain confidence, you probably don't want to be doing that. Obviously, Lasardi, I think, maybe has a little bit more ball running upside, and we've seen in the final series he managed to get a couple of meat pies, and saving 40 grand goes a long way because it's the difference between getting a Keon Kulamatangi and a Patrick Carrigan. So that's a variable there, or a Keon to a Tarpanay. So definitely a variable there, and we'll talk about that when we get to team reveals. Another guy I want to talk about is the Jermaine Hopgood, starting at front row. Looked like he was getting the offload underway. I also saw a quote not too long ago that the coach is looking for them to be a bit more expansive in attack, which means hopefully the arm gets free for guys like Hopgood. Dual position, 515K. Thoughts on Hopgood?
Oh, look, that Jason Rowles comment is music to my ears. I've only just heard it from you. But I'm very high on Jermaine Hopgood.
Agreed.
I started him last season, actually, and I was hoping, because obviously he was awesome in 2023 when he broke out. And it was really just that big base and power and the offloads. And last year he didn't really do that, but that was because of the back injury. And then he got drifted to to the hooker position before he found his way. And I think he averaged about 60 to 70 in the final couple of rounds when he did move to prop. So to see him starting there is really, really pleasing. Parramatta have a kind of a bench that is that's short on props and second 2RFs. They've got Dylan Walker, who's going to sub in for Jack DeBellin. They've also got Talon De Silva, who's going to have to play minutes for Riley Smith. So they're a little bit short in the big minutes. So I think Jermaine Hopgood, there's a very good chance he plays 60 to 70 minutes. Or maybe I'm being exaggerating by saying 70, but he definitely plays 60 to 65.
Oh, definitely.
If you can average, 1.2 ppm points per minute, he's averaging 70 every week for $500,000. That's $200,000 worth of value.
Do you know who he reminds me of from last year?
Who?
Tino, very similar elk, around that 550,000, coming off a down season due to injury. Hopgood, very similar realm. Now got the dual position as well. He's been in and out of my team, but I'm literally on the bench now looking at them. They've got one and out front rower who's very young, but you've also got the older fella in Junior Paulo. Jack DeBellin, don't get me wrong, could definitely play some middle as well. Maybe some Kelma-Tuolangi could maybe play some middle, but would not be surprised if Hopgood plays 60 to 65 minutes. So, as you mentioned, 1 to maybe even up to 1.3, 1.4 at that ceiling. I think we're going to be playing around in some team list today, mate, because Hopgood might be making an appearance again.
Well, for me, it was a lot about what you were either picking Toby Couchman or Jermaine Hopgood, as maybe, your third front row forward, or your third 2RF. And, I know you went with Toby Couchman and he scored 72 on the weekend. That was really, really good. So, hopefully, if you haven't picked Toby Couchman, then you pick Jermaine Hopgood.
Yeah, stack the pack mentality for sure.
Yes.
Next game, we got Warriors Roosters on the Friday night at 6 p.m. at Go Media. Probably not super coach relevant at the moment. Could be later on. Is that we've got Tane Tuapiki as the 18th man and Chancellor Clockstead starting at fullback. I thought Clockstead could have potentially gone to the centres or 5'8", but Ali Leotau, I was pretty high on him. He was in one of my team builds at one stage. He got a double in the trials. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a decent price rise, but with so many cheapies at that centre wing position, unfortunately, he's not going to make my cut. And another guy, Tuivasa-Sheck, I thought could have played centre as well. I picked him up in draft in that flex position. Tuivasa-Sheck, very much the same realm as Carraz without the offload. What are your thoughts on some of those Warriors outside backs?
Yeah, I don't have any significant interest at the moment. You really want RTS playing in the centres, so he can rack up all the base. Alaliu is an interesting one. I think you can jump on him if you like him. He's not for me because I like to play Supercoach with players who have strong base and power, and he's gonna score you big, in certain weeks when he goes through for a brace, or even a hat trick or try of tries, and then he'll score 100 and he'll make money, like you said. I have no doubt he will at some point do that for you. It's just the question is, can you wait and hold on for long enough for that to occur? Really,
100%.
Yeah.
I think next biggest one obviously is their forward pack with Jacob Laban. Out of nowhere, really. Like, we always thought Leka Halasima was going to accompany Kurt Capewell at the second row position, but Jacob Laban has done well and he's managed to secure that position, just under 300,000, starting second rower, probably doesn't play the 80 minutes, but anywhere between, what probably say 60 to 65 minutes. Is Laban in your team currently, Chris?
Yeah, 100%. He's in my team, mostly because Adam's high on him. I don't really know much about Jacob Laban, but my understanding he's monster PPM, 1.3. So if he plays 40 minutes or so, he's going to score 50, 60. I think he's 10K less than Joe Chan, and I would much rather have somebody who sounds fun than have Joe Chan and just hurt me and just make me sad if he underperforms, really.
Yeah, fair.
What about you?
Laban's in my team. Again, doing all these 2025/2026 preview reviews on the channel. Go check that out in all your listening platforms, guys. But when I did the Warriors preview review, Jacob Laban, I think, had the tied longest contract extension. And that was probably a clear indicator that obviously the Warriors were super high on him. So that wasn't the giveaway for him potentially starting this year. I don't know what was. Obviously, you got Leka Halasima, who is a bit more proven in that realm and elk, but it's interesting how they're going to use it. I definitely don't think maybe Capewell long-term this season maybe doesn't start there. Maybe he gets switched around with Leka if Leka has a ripper start to the year, but good to see Laban, again, another cheapie popping up really out of nowhere for super coaches. Well, I guess in regards to the Roosters, they're 1-7, besides obviously Daly Cherry Evans coming into the team, which isn't too Supercoach relevant. Would you have any love for Daly or not? Not really.
It's hard to know. In the final trial game, he really played second fiddle to Sammy Walker, and he scored 16, and he really looked like the second coming of Luke Brooks, his old half partner. And I don't want, and if he's going to be the second coming of Luke Brooks, I don't want him anywhere near my first, second, third, fourth, or fifth Supercoach teams. Really, but I think he's a watch in progress at the moment. And if he goes big, you can jump on him. They have the buy in round 5, so they're not going to get away in price too badly. The person who I'm much more interested in is also his current half partner, Sam Walker. Like, he looked awesome in the trials, and I think a lot of he's skyrocketed in terms of ownership. Like, is he? Are you interested in Sam Walker? And do you think people should take a punt on Sam Walker? Right.
I'm happy I went double cheapy halfback, giving that away obviously for my final team reveal. But I am nervous. But it's also given me that chance as well. Like, I haven't locked in that primo. Like, at least I'm going to make cash, and then I can definitely go to either Cleary, Hynes. Jaden Campbell's got that hamstring injury, which we'll get to soon. And now Sam Walker's sort of popped up into that same sort of tier. And then Dewey's probably a tier below them at 550K, which again, we can talk about soon. I do have love for him, but it definitely gives me a bit more of a sample size now, potentially to around 6 even post-buy, to see if Sam Walker's really the real deal. Again, Daly Cherry Evans, as you mentioned, is a passenger princess now, and James Tedesco definitely loves the ball. And there's, again, a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Still got Reece Robson to come back, is another piece of the puzzle to fit in. You still got guys like Connor Watson in your team. So it'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of mouths to feed. I think, again, as you just mentioned before, a bit more of a sample size would go a long way. Tedesco, I think he's going to lose money, which is great for super coaches out there. I think Ponga can make up the difference between the two. But hey, if Ponga keeps popping off like he's been doing, and with Fletcher Sharp coming back probably by round 4, I'd probably almost rather Ponga. Like he's got the goal kicking.
Yeah. To go back to Sam Walker, I had a long think about him, and he averaged 70 last year. But the thing is this, he came back in the second half of the year, when tries are more likely to occur, people, teams go on holidays, and you rack up big scores, and his opening draw is hard. It's like New Zealand away in New Zealand, Souths, Penrith, Manly. Oh, they could be a big one, but then they've got the bye, and that just stunts any kind of money making you have. And then it's the Sharks, and it's not until really about round 7 or 8 when they get Newcastle, St. George. So, I think you're right. I think you have to hold away. Teddy's hard to know. Like Teddy, the reason why Teddy, I think a lot about Teddy often because last year or for the last 3 years, he's consistently been the best SuperCoach player. And like we always go, oh, this year he's going to get old. But every he does. And if you think about last year's winner, Finn, who won, he got Teddy in round 3. Third place winner, Adam, he also got Teddy in round 3 when all of us were going, oh, Teddy scored 40 against the Broncos when they got absolutely shellacked. And it's because of them that they got, they rose up to the top. So I think it's hard you want to not get Teddy, but sometimes I think you have to think about maybe getting it because he is the best until otherwise,
And he's so healthy. Like he had a shocking start to his career with 2 ACL injuries, but really since then he's been extremely durable, touch wood. But yeah, I think he's inevitably going to lose cash because I think he's going to take a little bit of not take a step back in regards to playing ability, but I think he's going to try to accommodate Cherry Evans and the injury to Reece Robson. So I think it's definitely a wait and see. Post-buy definitely could go in, but 860K is a lot of bickies, and there's a lot of primos out there who I probably rank slightly higher because, again, you can only have so many. There's one other guy I want to quickly talk about in this Roosters lineup is Banana Lalu. I'm pretty sure I pronounce it. Cheapy, job security is not very good. So I have been seeing him slowly climbing up the percentage owned. If I'm a super coach, I would 100% be avoiding him with all costs. You got Connor Watson's in the wing. He definitely play a bit of hooker. Looks like he's definitely more middle rotation for 2026. However, if you're going to go cheap, I would just go Brandon Smith, and I'd just hold Brandon Smith because he should be back probably by round 4 to round 5. So, Benaya Lolu, I'm pretty sure you pronounce it. Yeah, no good. Is there any other one you want to talk about, Chris, before we move down?
Yeah, Andy, one of our co-hosts, he noticed that Blake Steve just quietly sitting at lock at 13. Are you interested? I personally, I'm not at all.
No.
I don't want any part of. Look, he could be 2026 Nath White, but I don't want anywhere near Trent Robinson's. A forward pack rotation.
No, not a chance. Yeah. And again, Nafahu White could play lock. You still got Victor Radley to come back. You could input Nat Butcher there. Spencer could start. Yeah, there's too many variables. Even Connor Watson could be starting there. So, and definitely one other guy missed that somehow, but Angus Crichton. He was originally in my first team reveal. And in more recent times, I've been sort of talking myself in and out at 610K. I prefer the middles due to the fact they're getting that 3rd minute tackle, but he is an 80-minute player. He does have Daly Cherry Evans running off his hip. They're a fantastic football team on paper. At 610K, he didn't have a down year because he obviously played for New South Wales and he looked very good for Australia in the Ashes series. But I feel like there's more to Gus, and going to Union next year, he's going to want to go out with a bang. Is there any love for Gus Crichton at 610K?
Yeah, Gus is very, very cheap at at his price. He's in my team. I watched him, and the way he Sam Walker and him connected, just isolating him really, really well against the center, or the halfback, opposing half that he was playing, and obviously he scored a try. And I was like, yep, I've seen enough. He's the only Rooster in my SuperCoach team, and I know I have to get somebody from the Roosters. They just got so much firepower. They're going to score big at some point. And so, if they just keep passing to Sam Walker, then Crichton's he's going to benefit, I think, for sure.
Did you also see, Chris, there was a quote, I think it might have been from Daly Cherry Evans, but he pretty much just said, Trent Robinson's given us freedom to go both sides of the field, so they could all be going to the left, they all go to the right, or they could be swapping and changing throughout. So I think that's also interesting to note as a watch and see, particularly for the spine, not necessarily for Angus Crichton. I don't think he gets affected too much because, again, DCE, Walker, and Teddy are very good ball players. So if anything, Crichton probably does better. So maybe I've just talked myself into getting Stephen Crichton. Not Stephen Crichton, Angus Crichton. I love my Stephen Crichton. Next game, arguably probably the game of the round. It's a preliminary final rematch. Broncos vs Panthers, Friday, 8 p.m. at Suncorp. I think we've got to go straight to the Kings of Rocks and Diamonds, but more so diamonds in more recent memory. It's my boy, Reece Walsh. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. He's in my. I'm just gonna talk about. I'm just revealing my whole team, aren't I? Yeah, he's in my team for sure. Like, look, can he repeat last year's purple patch? I wasn't sure, but again, I saw him, in that World Club Challenge, and he did, he really didn't do too much, and he's racked up like 100 SuperCoach points, and so, at any point, when Adam Reynolds goes down, he's going to pick up the goal kicking as well. That could be at any point. So, I also, the Broncos draw was slightly hard at, the first 3 games. And I think a lot of people are off him a bit, but the moment it goes into round 4, it becomes Finns, Gold Coast, and the Cowboys. So everybody's going to have to get him in round 4 anyways. I thought, why bother? I'm just going to save a trade.
Yep.
And if he goes big against Panthers, as you can see, he can go big against anybody. That's, it's the finals. The top 8 teams. He can do anything he wants. Yep. So he's in my team for sure. And I think about players who I would like not to get burnt with this year. Herbie's the first one, and Reece is second. So therefore, they're both in my team this year. and I would actually say, for people who want to keep their hair on their head, and they want to keep the game, as least stressful as possible. That is the way I'd play the game. Just which players would make you most upset if you didn't own them, and just own them.
I like that mantra. That sounds pretty good. And I agree, because my hairline's ever so slightly receding, and I don't need any more stress with Reece Walsh not being in my team. So Reece Walsh, the GOAT, he's in. He's just got the most attacking upside in the entire comp. And again, as you mentioned with that World Club Challenge, did pretty much absolutely nothing on the eye test. But then when I went through the highlights, he was everywhere. And he had Ben Hunt, and he had Adam Reynolds in that team. So that's definitely worthy to note. I think he's by far the most upside. If he loses 100K, 2 weeks later, he could be up 200,000. So save the trade. If he's injured, he's injured. But at this stage, lock and load for sure. Another guy I want to talk about is Shibasaki. I had him for a very long time in my team. I ended up opting with Stephen Crichton due to the fact that I know Crichton was going to have the goal kicking. That sort of put me over the line between those two. Shibasaki in that left-hand edge with Walshy sweeping, Ezra Mann giving the short ball, and Karapani on the outside is a fantastic ball runner finisher. Yeah, it was very hard to leave him out. Juicy at 630K. Again, you got the new center update with the try assist as well. I thought that was pretty good. Any love for Shiba?
Yeah, I think he's a great hedge, especially if you're not going to start with any Broncos players other than Payne Haas. It is a difficult draw once again. It is Penrith, Para, and Melbourne. And they all could be low-scoring affairs. So you have to be prepared for maybe some downer scores. But I mean, again, he runs into the same fixtures as Reece Walsh. It becomes Finns, Gold Coast, and Cowboys. So look, if you start with him again, you just pray that he does really well in the first 3. It's just the bonus, and then it looks real juicy. If you can hold just those first 3 rounds, really, yeah. And I don't begrudge anybody. I think he suffers from the same kind of syndrome is probably the wrong word, but it's the people that you bought really on the cheap for last year. Him, Tamale, and all of a sudden these guys are now 500, 600, and you're going, I don't want to pay for these guys. They should be 200. They're overpriced and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Shiva came out at an absolute, especially with the base, if he, he's a better player than last year. He's an Origin center. Why are we not starting with this guy in many ways?
Yeah. He's a gun. And again, the offensive juggernaut that the Broncos is, renowned for running down points. Shibasaki almost got a hat trick in that World Club Challenge, keeping that form. The goatee's back, just to confirm that for you, Chris, just in case you didn't think the superpower was still not there. Yeah, the goatee is still there for the GOAT Shibasaki. So 2 boys in the forward pack we definitely need to talk about. One is Payne Haas. I'm surprised he's not 101% owned. Thoughts on Payne Haas?
Just get him. Get him. Perhaps. He's probably he's closer as must-have. That's all I have to say.
He is a must-have. I don't care. Put him as $1 million. I think he's a must-have. He's a captaincy option this week as well. He's just going to be racking up base. Corey Jensen went down in the first 90 seconds. He played 80 minutes. 80 minutes at 2 degrees on his Kentucky tour in Europe. Enough said. That's just absolute dog. Save the trade. He's hold all year. I wouldn't even bother trading him out during Origin time. Yeah. Save the trade.
So if you had to either captain or VC Payne Haas or Reece Walsh, because you only can choose one of them, who would you pick for this round?
For Panthers, Payne Haas. That's the only reason. Only Payne Haas for every round, but Panthers. So Panthers and Dogs. Every other game, I would say Reece Walsh. Yeah, they're just too good defensively. I'm not saying that Reece Walsh can't get 150. I just think it's safer, particularly now with the third man in tackling. I think Payne Haas plays big minutes in these types of games because they're the teams that will be roughly around the same position, and the Broncos need to win those games. Those teams where the full packs aren't as good, Payne Haas probably gets more time to rest.
Yeah. Who's the other guy you want to talk about?
Yeah. Oh, Paddy Carrigan, mate. Dual position, 630K. He's been in and out of my team. He's been the Hopgood 2.0 for $120,000 more. Patrick Carrigan doesn't have that attacking upside in regards to scoring tries, but certainly can do an offload, certainly can get a try contribution, always there for big minutes, minimum 65 minutes, can definitely play 80 minutes, winning team. He's just got that dog in him. Paddy Carrigan, is there love?
Yeah. With the stats changes, anybody who's a hard-working front row, second row hooker and is undervalued, I will not begrudge you for getting them in. Paddy's at 636K, and I think he's going to average 73, something like that. So that means he's 100,000 undervalued at the moment. Yeah, pick him in. It'll be boring. Boring as, it's going to be like Isaiah Yo. You're just literally picking someone just for meat and potatoes, as they call it. But, it gets you points, and at the beginning of the season, I can see worse strategy than stacking the pack with guys that you just know will score you 70 every week.
Yeah. Particularly at the start of the year, the volatility. We don't know how the center position with the try assist is going to sort of even out, getting that sample size for at least the first couple of rounds so we can sort of see what it looks like. Definitely a good idea. Paddy Carrigan, mate, when you go look at my team, I've got 4 guys in mind and he's definitely one of them. So it'll be interesting to hear your final verdict when we get to the team preview. I think the Broncos is pretty much done. Panthers, couple of guys here of interest. Again, we talk about the center position, getting that new potential bump. And guys like Isaac Targo definitely gets those extended try assists. Casey McGluhan's doesn't really, but he's an absolute gun running the ball. And obviously Brian To'o, pretty underpriced, all things considering. He's moved next to Casey McLean on the left-hand side. Obviously Nathan Cleary dodged that band. You just go hard on Cleary early. Very tough draw for the Penrith Panthers to start the year. I'm hoping he drops some price. And then Isaiah Yo, obviously with the new rule change, very similar to Patrick Carrigan, plays 70 to 80 minutes every single week. Absolute tackle bot, captain for the Panthers. He's always going to make points. 4 to 5 guys there. Chris, what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I'm just going to give very, very brief thoughts on it. Isaac Tungo, again, I think one of the most undervalued players with the new stats changes. I think he was owed something like 4 or 5 try assists. At some point, I remember like 2 years ago, he was like 730K. Now he's like 400 or 500.
501.
Surely and he was 2 years ago, he was one of the most promising centers, young centers. So at some point he has to come good. Again, I wouldn't begrudge anybody from doing that. Yeah, Casey McLean. I don't mind if he's Casey McLean or Casey McGluhan's now with the new stats changes. You can do both. just as long as he has the ball involved. I don't think I would go either of them. I'd only go Isaac Tungo if you're trying to find somebody for 500K. You're trying to squeeze somebody in. Casey McLean, I think he's just a bit too expensive at the moment. There are better, for example, Shibasaki is a way better draw, and Latrell Mitchell, Stephen Crichton, all these players with better draws and with other benefits as well. Casey McLean, you can pick him up when he's dropped in price a little bit, in round 7 or so, or later on. He's probably not going to play Origin either. Same thing as Brian To'o. He's not many people have him actually, but he's also like, is he about 500K as well?
Yeah,
you can pick him up if you want. Oh, sorry, 600 then. He really is 600. He's not 500. Yeah. If you're looking for somebody who's 600, but you could also go for Selvin Cobbo for someone for 540 instead. And, and there's upside, being on that left side for the Finns. But again, don't begrudge anybody. Nathan Cleary, I'm not starting with him, only because I agree. I think the draw is too hard. But I had a look at some of his stats. So, for example, he's starting off, Broncos, Sharks, Roosters. Let me just try to get this out. Check this out. For example, against the Broncos are his bunny team. He scored 129, 121, 53, 125, 151, 125, and that dates back to 2021.
Wow.
It's not a hard team for them to play again. He likes playing them. The Sharkies, 68, 109, 69, 107, and then it's 139 back in 2019 as well. So that's also not a hard team to play at all. And then they're playing, who's their third team? Is it Manly?
I couldn't tell you top of my head, to be honest.
I just said it just then. I forgot. Let me see. It was Roosters. Oh, yeah. He's also very good against the Roosters. Check out these numbers. 80, 116, 82, 84, 82, 140. So he could be averaging like 90 after the first 3 rounds. And we're going, this is ridiculous.
And it's the first time in several off seasons that the Panthers have actually got stability. Like, I don't think they really lost anyone at all. And Cleary's finally had an off season. He is actually finally healthy.
Yep.
Oh, I'm scared now. Like, I can't really kill my team for it, but
and that's the thing. I think he's there are so many must-haves you have to have. Herbie, Payne Haas. If you got Reese, you really can't. Unfortunately, just can't afford Cleary. So, I'm going to fade him. It worked well for people who faded last year or the last 2 years, despite everything. So see what happens. And, as long as you have somebody, expensive in your flex, you can always move up to him or trade to him, and yeah, we kind of go from there. Who else do we have to talk about? Oh, yes. Isaiah Yeo. Yeah, he's in my team. Yeah, he's literally just Paddy Carrigan. Take your pick one of them or pick both of them. Just undervalued. You're just going to make free. It's just free cash. It's just increase that free salary cap for you. Yeah. The one that I thought was super interesting, actually, if you have Isaiah Papali'i, he was possibly a really good pick because he's dual forwards and, he's only 500 or something like that, 550, and they were hoping that, he'd take Scott Sorensen's left edge position. Unfortunately, he's on the bench. So if you have Papali'i, you probably get him out of your team and wait for him to actually start before you bring him back in.
Also, did you know Kalani Going got that jersey 17? Bit of an AE nightmare potentially for the guys who've gone off Brandon Smith to look for that downgrade position. I'm pretty sure Adam had him in at one stage for that enough, but he changed to Reed Marnie, I believe, top of my head. So, yeah, if you got Kalani Going, I'd be definitely getting him out for an AE. Don't want that. Milky Jenkins on the extended bench too, which is interesting. Next game, we got Sharkies Titans, Saturday, 5:30 at Ocean Protect Stadium. Where the heck is that? Is that Shark?
They got a sponsor.
What the heck is that?
Confused for a moment too.
That's crazy. Ocean Protect so much shark. May as well call it SeaWorld Stadium. That's funny ass. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter because my mighty Gold Coast Titans, they're making a comeback. They're coming on. Hats on. Titans are up, baby. Let's go. Gold Coast Titans. Keanu Keeney, definitely a must-have in my eyes. You got Feimani, another guy, probably must-have in my eyes. AJ Brimson, Smokey, he's been in and out of my team at 640k at a desolate 5'8" position. Huge news with Jaden Campbell with that minor hamstring strain. He's going to be out for the next couple of weeks. Got that dual position today, which was fantastic at 680k. He's going to be on for big minutes. Another guy out of nowhere, Mara Howe, beat Patson for that second row starting position. Cooper Byers been named on the bench. Luke Summerton, he's got that dual position as well. He's been named on the bench. Plenty of juicy Titans players. Thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I agreed with a lot of your sentiments. Keanu Kinney, he's so undervalued. Should be averaging 70 this year. That's 300k worth of value. Buy him in your team. It's a bit disappointing. Jaden Campbell's out for the next few weeks. They're going to lose a bit of go forward, really. But I expect them, I expect the backline to score a lot, and therefore, as a result, Feimani, the 235k rookie, he scored 50 in the third trial game against the Storm. So, I'm playing him this week. I'll see what happens. Hopefully, like the other couple of cheapies that have been played this week, Tom Chester and Setu too, he jags a try or something like that, and he scores similarly. Tino, I think I was telling Adam that I think that Tino is probably correctly priced. He didn't seem to change much from the stat changes at all. He doesn't seem to have increased or decreased at all. I thought last year that he maxed out his minutes where possible. I only played about 50 to 60 minutes per game, but it was the way that he got played. For example, he'd go on for 15, 20 minutes, and then Desi Hazel would take him off for 5 minutes for a spell, and then he'd just go back on and just go balls to the walls, and then go for 5 again, and then go again, and then he jagged a whole bunch of random try assists and stuff like that, and that's why he scored so well. He'll get a bump from being second year back from his ACL injury. So, but I think if you're looking for somebody and you're going, I really want to have that, a dual player, and you think it's worth it for 681, go for it. There are similar players, as we talked about, Toby Couchman, on Kalamatangi, and also we talked earlier for a little bit price cheaper. You can even get Jermaine Hopgood. I think they're all going to score fairly similarly, really. Arama Howe, he's in my team too. I don't know if he's got job security, to be honest. I thought the position was supposed to be Josh Patson's, but pretty much this. I at the moment in 2RF, I don't really mind if I jump on somebody random, and then they end up being nuffed or they don't play, because I've got to buy Ryan Couchman in anyway. So whoever it is that doesn't work out, I'm just going to switch them to Ryan Couchman. So if you're thinking the same thing, you go, hey, should I get this guy in? And you're going, I haven't missed out on Ryan Couchman too. Yeah, jump on that person if you think so. Bo Fermor, he's only 2% owned, but I think he's a sneaky pod. I saw some stats somewhere. Sorry, I forgot where it was, but he averages like 84 when like Brimson's by his side. So he could go massive, and he like Sam Verrill suffers from just a Gold Coast, I guess, unfavoritism. Really, nobody wants him because he's on the Titans, and they think he's boring, and also because Tino's there, you can choose him. He's a lot more sexier. Yes. That's pretty much. Cooper Bye.
And Brimo too, mate. What are your thoughts on Brimo? Now that JC's out, is he more enticing?
I don't spend much time thinking about Brimo. I'm going to be honest.
All right, check his last game of the year, bruh.
I still think he's a center. But I look at 600. I think he's slightly overpriced to start. But yeah, given that JC's out, he might. No, I just don't think he has great base, and I think JC is what makes Brimo dangerous. Without him, I don't know if he scores as well. That's my personal take. I could be completely wrong.
You will be, mate. All the mighty Titans, baby. Let's go. But yeah, Cooper Bye off the bench, 25 to 40 minutes.
Yep. Slow burn, I suspect.
Yeah. He's not a rush in. And again, his name is my name with buy me dinner first, pun intended. But yeah, I don't think he's a must-have at the start of the year with so many other guys. If we didn't get like Howe, for example, we didn't get Labum out of nowhere, and then obviously the battle between the Melbourne boys, a couple others I can probably rattle off the top of my head. Obviously the front rows as well with Paseka and Flegler. When we get to those guys, that's going to be interesting talk as well.
Yeah.
Sharkies, Kale Ero, premium center option at 700K. Gun, absolute gun. My nemesis from 2025, Nicho Hynes, and the actual MVP of this team, Braden Trindle, going off the Indigenous All-Star game. Tell me I'm wrong. Eye test says otherwise. Big boy, big bop, AFB at the middle. Blake Brayley has been in and out of my team as well over Harry Grant. Still tossing up. Honestly, still tossing up. Jesse Colquhoun, probably not as sexy now because we've got so many other options with job security not looking fantastic. They're probably the main guys for the Sharkies. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Who should we start with? Kale Ero. Yeah. He's undervalued, just based on the stats changes. If you want to start, if you have the money for him, get him. Really. They have, they're playing the Titans. I mean, they look kind of good in defense, the last two trial games, but I vividly remember Titans looking really, really good last year. They beat the Finns, and then they came out against the Bulldogs in round 1 last year and just got absolutely hammered, something like 40 to 12 or something like that. And it was just super disappointing if you're a Gold Coast fan, because they looked so good that trial game. If you're gonna jump on, Kale Ero, jump him from start away from game 1. He also has great base, so he does have a slightly harder draw after the Titans, but it's still worth it. If you want someone cheaper, again, we talked earlier about, hey, jumping on somebody like an Isaac Tungo. Jesse Raymond's also exactly the same price, so 500K. He literally bases 50, so he's priced at just his base. He scored 3 tries last year. Surely can't happen again. If he jags more tries, he's going to go up to 650K. Braden Trindle, is he in your team then if he's the MVP?
I'll wait for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Trindle is just too attack reliant. He just lacks that base, and he did awesome in game 3 against Canberra, and he scored something like 60 overall. Nicho Hynes. Nicho's an interesting one, and I think, there's a lot of mixed feelings, a lot of critics like you, Ryan, they don't like how Trindle takes over. There's, all those comments from Craig Fitzgibbon where, sometimes Nicho will take the reins, sometimes it'll be Trindle. I think with Nicho, I think it's a case of you see what you want to see, really. Like, as somebody who's very biased towards Nicho, I must admit, I say he scored, 69 in the Indigenous All-Stars and 63 in the trial games. And he did absolutely, and we're complaining he did absolutely nothing in half a game of football, but I see him running a whole lot more. I really liked, for example, in that final game against the Raiders, where he, just before the half, he takes a run and then he just has a line break assist to Jesse Ramian. He wasn't doing that as much last year. And then obviously after the half, he's on the 5th, he steps off his right and he just floats a face ball, to Piru, and he just scores on the sticks, and it's just easy 20 points, in terms of a try assist and line break. I think of him a little bit like, the reason why I'm not as concerned, Ryan, is because I think he reminds a little bit like Parramatta a few years ago when Mitchell Moses would do a lot of the organising, similar to the way that Trindle's taking over a lot of the tackling and things like that. But then Dylan Brown just gets to run and just do whatever the hell he wants. Yep. In many ways, and sometimes it's better to be that second receiver or just that person who just wants to do spontaneous things randomly, and that's a bit more conducive to SuperCoach, and that's why I'm going to be I've got Nicho in my flex position. Yeah, I'm actually going to be captaining him. Yeah.
Well, that is just.
Do you know what my scariest thing is actually? The only reason why I've thought about maybe not having him in my team is just if he just doesn't go big. Oh, I just don't know if I can go on the pod next week.
I will not let you live it down, bro. I will absolutely be hammering you. Did you watch the Indigenous game? Go watch the highlights, and I guarantee you're going to trade him out. So
it doesn't matter. He scored 69 doing nothing.
Fucking crazy, eh? Good base. He's good. But if you're not here next week, that little blank spot, Chris's
We'll
head.
know why.
Chris's head. AF.
Oh, yes. AFB, so AFB, his points last season were down purely for being less minutes on the park. So his PPM stayed the same, 1.2 from 2023 to 2025. But last year he played 54 minutes compared to 60 minutes the previous 2 years at New Zealand at the Warriors, and as such, that's why he averaged 65 last year compared to 72, pretty much. So it's a case of if you think he's going to go back to playing 60 minutes, then he's undervalued and you're worth a start. But I'm of the opinion, why risk it? Just pick up Paddy Carrigan again. Pick up Keon Kalamatangi or something like that instead.
Agreed. And so, did you mention Blake Brayley?
Yes, we should talk about Blake Brayley. He is 12% owned. I think a lot of people originally jumped on Harry Grant just because you could get a premium hooker for about 50k cheaper. He wasn't in my team at all because I thought to myself that, look, he was kind of like averaging about 50 to 60 in the first half of the season. It was only in the second half where actually it was kind of during that origin period where he kind of like started running, had a whole bunch of line breaks, had a bunch of try assists, and then he just averaged like 100. And then in the second half, he averaged like 90 or whatever it was. And, I don't know if it's a case of when defenses are tight and everybody's switched on, he doesn't get good stats. But, in the second half when nobody cares anymore, then that's where he's getting his stats. I don't know. He's in my team in the end. In the end, he's coming to my team only because Brandon Smith is I just got no word on Brandon Smith, and I just don't want to put him out. I don't want to start him just in case he doesn't play for 4 or 5 weeks. So, yeah, I've got him in the end. I'm just going to pray he does well.
Kind of regret now. I'm going looking at my team. I could have easily gone double gun hooker, and I kind of wish I did because there's so many guys I could easily drop 200k, and that's the difference in price. Could very easily do it.
I believe it or not, I like what you did. I've been playing around with my team, Ryan. Actually, just this is probably completely irrelevant to any of the listeners at the moment. But I play and I'm finding that I just cannot fit in an extra forward gun that I want to. It's because but you and Adam and Jake, you guys all can because you guys all jumped on Reed Marnie for 400 and I won't lie, I've got kind of got some doubts about Harry Grant a little bit. His base has been down a little bit. In the final trial game, he only scored 34. Really, he only made 30 tackles or so. Really, he didn't do that much. And I like how in the second, he's doing a lot of face balls, but how many of these will become try assists and how not? He's going to have to rely on a lot of attack, and if he doesn't get it, do you know what? I think you're better off getting again a Paddy Carrigan, a Keon, Hopgood, who are just going to average you 60, 70, 75 every week just in base, and you don't even have to worry about it and think about it. Yeah,
that's totally fair, man. Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we get to that my team reveal because I might be getting talked out of it. And I think just Colquhoun as a whole, there's just too many other guys. I just would be avoiding. Definitely be avoiding for sure.
Yeah, I'd only get him if you're a Sharkies fan or if you just really want that dual status.
I'm surprised, old Ryan, 2024 Ryan, even 2025 Ryan, max trading for the first 15 rounds. I've evolved. I'm hoping not to make a trade after round 1. We will see. We will see. It could be a rage trade-in.
If addictions were that easy to acquit, smokers wouldn't exist.
Yes, true. Yeah, don't give me too much credit just yet. This one's an interesting one. Manly versus Raiders, Saturday, 7:35 at 4 Pines Park. Oh, Turbo. He's a juicy one. I'm super high on Cooler. He's in my draft team. Garrick has a bit less appeal, but could be a double-ended sword due to the fact that he's going to centre now with that new update in the scoring. Fogarty, and not loving it. Daniel Paseka, welcome back to NRL after his Achilles rupture. Jake Simkin was in a lot of teams at the very start of Team Picker. He sort of dropped off a bit. Ola Kawatu, very popular from last year. Few question marks regarding to shoulder stability. I would like a wait and see there. You got Joey Walsh on the bench. I'm hearing murmurs that Lukey Brooks could be shifting to hooker, which is crazy, and Walsh goes to into the halves, which could be another cheapie coming in. What are your thoughts on Manly?
Yeah, they didn't look very inspiring in the third trial game at all, did they? Against Souths, Cody Walker, at 36, absolutely tore them up, you know. That they didn't have Tom, they didn't have Olakau'atu, and they'll be back. And you saw what KP did when he came back for Newcastle. They start 3 games just at home at 4 Pines. Tom, he's yet another year removed from his 2021 season. He's not for me. I want to see what happens, really. I'm happy to waste 2 trades to buy him and then trade him out.
Yeah.
Akula's a great one as well. Adam was really high on him. I've cooled on him a little bit, only because obviously of the way that Manly looked. I'm not really sure. Garrick, he's not buyable if he doesn't have the goal kicking. Lehigh, look, I think Lehigh should be a lot better this year. Like he didn't last year. He played okay, but I know he can play a lot better. And when you're on that left wing, Tommy's going to find you. And I think if you're looking for a hedge, Hopper Whitey or probably is a good one. He's only 500-ish K at the moment. Fogarty, you can't touch him at all. He's going to, just from the stats changes. Paseka, I think he's going to be a bit of a slow burn. I don't know. There's a lot of talk that, because of the bench is, they need middle forwards. They need him to play. He could play 50, 60 minutes. He's only ever averaged in his best season about 50 or so, but, again, stats changes. He's going to be undervalued. Again, I can't begrudge you for getting him. He'll be in my team only because I just need somebody cheap. Jake Simpkin, don't touch him based on what you said with Joey Walsh and Brooks. Ola, he's undervalued once again because of the stats, but you don't know what he's going to do, how he's going to perform with Fogarty. I think that Fogarty's going to pass him a lot more, as opposed to DC, because DC can just kick the ball, and that's how Garrett got a lot of, free tries and stuff like that. So there's a few of them, you can jump on them if you want to. Again, but for me, I'm probably just going to leave it. And if they do really well, then I'll jump on them after the bye because they have the bye in round 3, I think.
Yeah, early so bye, no rush. Not ideal. Yeah, I think the Olakau'atu one is probably the most enticing, especially like pod wise. Like, could be a huge point of difference. And I think Chris has just dropped out, and I'll keep winging it as we're going through. Oh, we're back. Okay, we just had a bit of technical difficulties. Standard, always happens to us. But yeah, we're just talking about through the Manly team. I think Olakau'atu is one of those guys who could be a really good pod. I think Fogarty's actually going to give him better ball. So pretty high on that. But let's talk about the Raiders. A couple of guys worthy to note. We got KO Weeks, a lot of fullback depth. So I probably wouldn't touch him, but as proven before, he can go gangbusters. Tamale was a cheapie from last year. As you mentioned before, Chris, we feel like he's overpriced now because we got him such a good deal. But he's a gun. He's an absolute gun. Sammy Sasungi, interesting because Timoko is apparently coming back from a bit of a injury, so he's going to Rezzies for this week. Ethan Strange, Dalian 5'8" of the year, 610K, worthy to note. He's been in and out of my team as well, but opted for someone else. Ethan Sanders, EP, goal kicker, monumental upside. I saw the highlights about 5 minutes on YouTube. I'm like, yep, lock him in. Double cheapy halfback. Joey Tarpanay, 701K. He's been in and out of my team, Chris. And again, when we get to my team reveal, you're going to have to convince me maybe not to keep him out. Could be smoky chat there. Hudson Young, 720K-ish. Yeah, he's a gun. Overpriced potentially. Want to hear your shout on that. Noah Martin, out of nowhere, with a couple of boys being in Matty Nicholson. Got his shoulder subluxation. He's been not there. Zach Hoskins coming off the bench. So that makes me feel like he's just going to be a middle rotation player with a little bit of edge. That's big. Corey Horsburgh, dual position. We know what he's about. Owen Paddy not making the team with Jaden Brayley. I did see Ricky Stewart quoting that, what's the point of playing Owen Paddy 15 to 30 minutes a game when he can get a full game in Rezzies? It's not going to be good for his development. Love that from the head coach. He's just transparent. That's really, really good. A lot of guys. Dane Laurie's on there as well. He's a super pod when he's gets the availability to start, but definitely not be starting with him. Raiders. Plenty of guys, plenty of options, different looking team with no Fogarty there. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just going to go straight into the guys who are SC relevant. KO, probably at the moment, don't touch him. He's very rocks and diamonds. If he comes out and he shows he's a whole lot more consistent, yeah, then jump on him. Tamale, yep, happy for you. Want to jump on him. Seb Chris, again, CTW in the centres, you're going to get increase in points. Go for it. Ethan Strange is an interesting one. I think the biggest issue at the moment with Canberra, I don't have any Canberra players in my team, is I think that their draw is very, very hard for the first 6 to 7 weeks, especially with a brand new halfback, a rookie halfback really. That with Ethan Strange, he has all the positives of last year, plus if Ethan Sanders, I know he has the goal kicking, but if he doesn't kick very well, Strange will just randomly just pick up the goal kicking halfway through game 1, really. And all of a sudden, he's a must buy, along with Fletcher Sharp for everybody. So yeah, but it's a case of he's a little bit like Nathan Cleary. If you go, look, I just want to have someone in 5'8", I don't want to deal with it. I missed out on Fletcher Sharp. Just put him in there. He's going to go up. He's going to go down in price. But guess what? You've got a gun in there every week. But you just got to find funds you got to downgrade other people in other positions. Ethan Sanders. I'm laughing only because I think I've watched the exact same highlights video, And the funniest thing, right, is that it's like same with KP. You literally just watch the highlights video and you're like, yep, I've seen enough. He's in. I've remembered how good he is. I'm pretty sure you could watch any player and you could make the same case for that. In terms of Ethan Sanders, he looks like a fantastic buy now that Dan Atkinson has played, because Dan doesn't look as fantastic. If you had been umming and ahhing about buying one of the two and you jumped on Ethan Sanders, you're sitting absolute smug. You've drunk into cream. He'll score more than 32. If you're thinking about should I still go double halfback, maybe for sure. I mean, you've already got Dan Atkinson. Sure, again, it's the same thing. Ethan Sanders can't do worse, so you may as well get him in. But
and
at the same time,
did nothing and still got 32 points. So
yeah,
that's worthy to know. And I feel like this Raiders team has more strike power throughout the team. Plus, their forward pack should only really get better. I mean, Noah Martin's obviously rated pretty highly by Ricky Stewart, but guys like Matty Nicholson still to come back. So that's only going to do good for a guy like Sanders. And I believe he's going to be with Hudson Young. So you got one of the best second rollers on your hip. That's, pretty tantalizing.
Yeah, Joey Tarpany, he had his best SuperCoach season ever. He averaged 71 and, and despite playing way less minutes than he's historically played, actually, he also started super hot, in the first 9 rounds last year, and he, scored a whole bunch of tries and stuff like that and try assists. So therefore, if you want to, which is weird because he's historically not always started hot, and that's why people have avoided him. So if you want to jump on him, you can. However, I think that last year was probably an outlier in, he scored 5 tries, had 5 try assists, and, in comparison, the prior 5 seasons, he never scored more than 2 tries, although in 2018, he randomly scored 6. So I think that it's an outlier season, supplemented by unusual attacking points, really. And it's a better, it's the same. It really is the same, mostly the same forward pack this year. Everybody's just a year older, Simi Sungi's there, they're all better. Morgan Smith can't even make it onto the team anymore. That's how good that forward pack is. So the question is, does Joey have to play as many minutes? And last year it was just frustrating because I got Joey in about, I think, round 9 or round 10 or something like that. And it was, I was always checking Discord going, when's he back on? When's he back on? I can't see him. And I would much rather Keon. Okay, I think you know who I like more than Joey for significantly cheaper, 40k cheaper.
Yeah.
Who else do we need to talk about?
Hudson Young.
Hudson Young. Hudson, if you like him and, and he fits your vibe, get him. He's always going to score great. The issue is that with people like Hudson Young, it's very hard to jump on them because you never know when they're going to score. They just score at random. They just score, triple, double, triples, and when he doesn't start scoring and his price starts dropping, then you go, yeah, I'm glad I never got him. And all of a sudden he just scores. So if you like him, get him. The issue is at this beginning of the season, you're just not going to score many tries, although that's actually where he scored most of his tries. Noah Martin, I don't really know. He just came out of the blue. He's 250k. As I said earlier in this podcast, if you're going, hey, I don't know, I'm just going to jump on him, and then with a view of downgrading to Ryan Couchman, if he doesn't play well, then 100% because he's 250k, so he's more expensive. So that's also possible. Yeah,
I'm happy with that. And again, Matty Nicholson's there and abouts too, so I definitely will not be touching Noah Martin with a 10-foot pole, even though he's a cheapie there. That'll be a very good
yeah.
game.
Matty Nicholson's interesting because he had shoulder instability, and Brian from NRL Physio was talking about, hey, it looked like a very, very innocuous, like a very minor kind of a contact. And he said, if your shoulder can or become unstable just like that,
Sublax.
mate, you might be in for a long season. And funnily enough, Noah Martin might be, a slow burn and eventually be 400k. The issue is you're just not going to be able to play him, but I guess you'll make some money. Yeah. But there's so many good cheapers going to make monies anyways. Yeah.
Too many other options, but with job security as well, particularly early on, we don't want to be doing that. Next game, Dolphins versus Rabbitohs, Sunday, 3:00 at Suncorp Stadium. So this is interesting, and I was hoping my boy Trey Fuller would be named at fullback, but he's not. So we got Hammer, obviously SuperCoach relevant, Asako, SuperCoach relevant, my boy, number 2 overall pick, Herbie Farmworth, SuperCoach relevant, Cobbo, SuperCoach relevant, Katoa, potentially SuperCoach relevant, Tommy Gilbert got the duel today, picked him up in draft, SuperCoach relevant, Donahue got the duel today, SuperCoach relevant, Tom Flegler, there's no one on the bench for these guys, SuperCoach relevant. Yeah, Dolphins galore, mate. Maybe they got stuck at Ocean Park, whatever it's called. What are your thoughts on these guys? I've got a lot of takes here. I think Herbie Farmworth is an absolute must at 825k. I've heard murmurs of people willing to fade him. I'm like, you guys are idiots, absolute idiots. Obviously, they scored a monumental amount of points last year, but this team's only going to get better with more experience, more chemistry. They got forwards back, and their 2 second rowers in Lemu and Fene-Fuiaki are quite young and experienced. They've got another year, and they're super athletic. Morgan Knowles, gun. I love Gilbert at front row. I love Flegler at front row. Mate, this team is absolutely stacked. And they got the dynamo at jersey 17, Trey Fuller. I think he's going to be a spot player. I don't think he plays every single week. But thoughts on the Finns, mate? Like, far out.
Yeah, like you said, many ways you can take this team, really. But I think that the Finns are very, very SuperCoach relevant, mostly because of that left-hand side backline. They are the one team that seems to just go left all the time. Last year, everybody who had Asako, they're just so frustrated. And even then, like often they'd go right. They'd pretend to go right. Yeah. They'd shift. And then they just go back to the left, like literally, like just reverse it. And it's just their over-reliance on Herbie Farnworth and the left Finns winger tells me that, hey, you should get these players in. One way you could do it is, if you don't want to get Herbie because he's a lot of money, you could technically hedge with Selwyn Cobbo. For me, as you heard on the pod earlier, Herbie burnt me, and you look, enough is enough. I'm just going to get him in my team.
Finally.
Doesn't
awaken.
Katoa, I don't think is as relevant, mostly because he requires a lot of try assists. It's hard to know if his base will go up. He's actually not. He doesn't actually have bad base necessarily, but he would be so much better if Izako wasn't in a team and he was goal kicking as well, but he isn't. So therefore, if he drops in price to like 500, then you want to think about it maybe. But then at 500, you're also getting Dewey, Lockie Galvin. I think there's just so many other players at halfback. Tommy Gilbert, yeah, again. Well, it feels like a lot of people are super excited for the forwards pack because of the lack of front row forwards on the interchange bench. Am I right, Ryan?
Yeah, well, Flegler, Oregon Key, like Felice Kafusi, he's a middle now. Yeah, really, it's going to be those sort of guys. Morgan Knowles might shift in there a little bit. But yeah, I project Gilbert to have 60 to 65 minutes, honestly. I think Flegler, obviously, they probably don't want to play him more than 50 minutes, you would assume. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be huge minutes, and Gilbert's got a massive engine. So I definitely predicting he's underpriced, and getting Gilbert in might be able to facilitate 2 decent guys. You might be able to go up from a Chan up to a Cam Murray and a Gilbert, depending how you work it, which actually if you do the math, probably works out better. Or a Hopgood and a Gilbert, that's probably better again. I like it. I think he's really good, and hence why I picked him up in draft, because I'm a draft king. Thoughts?
Yeah, nice steal, really. I was a little bit worried about Flegler only because again it's an unknown injury that pretty much no one in the NRL has ever had. There's so many good forwards in the Finns, and then obviously there was Daniel Saifidi who was supposed to come back, but apparently he's still injured. His shoulder's still got an injury, so therefore So look, if you're thinking about something like Flegler versus Paseka, something like that, or like a Flegler versus Colquhoun, I think Flegler probably actually has the better long-term upside, and the potential, to score better. And with the minutes, I mean, the minutes are still there for Paseka as well, but Thomas is a, origin prop. So
yeah, he looked very good in the trials too. So
yeah. So if you like him, 100%, I think it's a great gamble. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But again, I feel like if you're spending $330, you may as well try to get a guy like a Howe, maybe who's get that dual position, then get that 100K extra, which gets you to like 450K, and then you're real close to getting someone half decent who's a bit more reliable. But I think Flegler was definitely on a price. And I think that left-hand edge that you were mentioning too, it's even more prevalent because Jake Avarillo, he's serviceable, but Hammer's going to be going left all the time. Like Hammer's probably at value. I don't think he loses money. I don't think he gains money. But now they're just going to be going left. Herbie Farnworth, Cobbo are going to be absolutely having a field day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think actually it also makes sense, for the listeners. If you're thinking about, going up to get a Thomas Flegler or something like that, but instead, if you do drop down to something like a Howe and then you have 120, 130K, to upgrade another cheapie to something like a Heaton Luke, if you didn't get him last week, I think that's actually a much smarter play. But again, look, if you like Flegler, and you like the Finns, 100% jump on him. Yeah.
Rabbitohs, a lot to talk about here too. Jai Gray, SuperCoach relevant in my eyes. I think he's undervalued personally. Full preseason there. Obviously, he was shifting between coming off the bench, spot minutes at fullback. Yeah, I think he's actually going to make a fair bit of money personally. Super high work rate. And that's what you want from those type of players. I think he's going to score more tries too. I think he only scored a couple. So that's going to be interesting to note. Latrell Mitchell, huge one to note, is currently, he's been in my team. He was one of my first picks in my team picker. He's been in my team the whole entire offseason. And as of yesterday, he is now out. I'm a bit concerned with the half depths. I'm a bit concerned with some other elements of this team. But I believe Campbell Graham's also picked up a foot injury, which is also worthy to note. So that's something. Yeah, that's something to note there. Cody Walker, SuperCoach relevant, 399K at a desolate position at 5'8". Keon Kulamatangi, super high on him, 660K at front row. Project him to play anywhere between 57 to 70 minutes each week. Fafita should be gone. Draft steal last year. Then actually Chris stole him from me because he didn't play. Cam Murray, I think he's undervalued as well. I've been pretty high on him. You boys, not as much, but if he's got the minutes there, anywhere between 55 to 70 minutes each week, he's definitely points per minute gun. Tallis Duncan, he was in a couple of teams as well. He's been named on the bench. I predict him. He's definitely going to lose some ownership potential as well. A lot of guys here, mate. Any value, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'll just quickly run through everybody. Jai Gray, it's like if you're thinking about him or Sewer for longer, I think Sewer's a little bit better. But, Jai Gray can't go wrong. His base was great. He won me draft last year. Latrell Mitt, he's I think at 600 he's undervalued. He really is. He's again center. The issue is that people feel like he doesn't do anything, but when he does do a couple of touches, he's going to benefit from a whole bunch of try assists and everything like that. He's also still got the goal kicking. You got to remember that. If you think the Bunnies are going to go big this year and go massive, you've got to get him. Campbell Graham, I'm so disappointed about that because last year he sneakily averaged 44 points just in base pure. He didn't score a single try. And if you watch him in the trials last week, when the Bunnies went right, they looked awesome. Cody Walker, not for me. I think that it's the lack of base, and he has to do a lot of attacking to score well in Supercoach. And now that the changes mean that he may not get a lot of points, but if you get him because you think it's cheap and you think it's worth it, yeah, go for it. But just recognize that you may be trading him out anyways. But the truth is this: even if you had got Jackson Purdue, I think we're all recognize we have to trade him out to. We've all got to trade it out to Fletcher Sharp. There's only one person we really want at 5'8". Who else are we talking about? Keon. Yep, I keep talking about Keon. He's going to average like 80 this year, just literally.
Gone.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him in. Yeah, you're disappointed if you didn't get Tallis Duncan. Sorry, about Tallis Duncan if you've got him in draft.
Yeah, X. He would have gone pretty early too, I reckon.
Yeah, but it's just Wayne doing Wayne things. Cam Murray. There's two takes on this. If you're Ryan, you love him and you think he is going to go back to scoring, to being there on playing 65 minutes and scoring 70 like he did a few years ago. If you're me, I think that they're not going to risk him with his Achilles and, because they're a good team now, anytime that they're up by 10, they're just going to bench him and go, hey, go hit the showers early. We'll see you, suit up for next week. The biggest issue here actually is someone who's not there. It's Brandon Smith. What do you do about him?
Yeah.
Because he was in 50% of teams. My plan last Sunday had been I'm gonna hold him. I'm gonna wait for a team list Tuesday, and I'm also gonna just wait for updates from the Rabbitohs in terms of how he's coming back, because he was going, oh man, it's a bad one, and all of a sudden they got, what was it, mild calf strain, and they were only out for, he was going to be out for 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, I think round 3. So
yeah, but then they have to buy in round 4, so there's a good chance that he doesn't play until round 5, and then he doesn't actually start making money until round 7. And you're hoping whoever you have, if you do have him, doesn't get injured for 6 rounds and can be played every week and not on the bye as well. Whereas, for example, if you had got a Reed Marnie, had you got a Jake Simpkin, had you got a Blake Rowley, all these guys are making money for you. Even if you actually get a Bronson Garlick, who's 360, I don't think he's viable because, again, Cheese will be back at some point. He's got to share minutes with Mamazelis. But there's been talk that Garlick, when Mamazelis comes, Garlick then moves to 13 instead, when then Cam comes off the bench and it spells him. So he might be a sneaky buy. But I think personally, I don't think you can buy Brandon Smith at the moment, really, personally, just because of that risk. But if you're willing, you've got Harry Grant, you're going, I don't really care, or Blake Rowley, I don't really care. I think they're going to definitely play, then fine, buy him. But
I think it's even more appealing now, Chris, that Brandon Smith is more of a buy in later. As you mentioned, he could be a slow burn at the start, but if he does pop off by round 7, if you went Reed Marnie goes up to 550, 600, 650K, downgrade, all of a sudden you got 400K in the bank. Like, that's huge.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Reed Marnie owners, or they're looking like geniuses right now. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, King Ryan over here.
Along with like 33% of all other Supercoach players in the game.
They ain't that smart, mate. Unless you listen to tackles and tinnies, baby. I'm high on Cam Murray. I don't care what you say. I think he's going to play 60 minutes. He wouldn't have been risked at the end of last year on round 27 when they were literally playing for nothing besides the wooden spoon. I know he only played 20 minutes, but there was nothing to play for besides wooden spoon. So if he played then, he's healthy enough. Full off season. He said publicly that I'm not going to play in the Ashes series because I want a full off season so I can be 100% ready to go. That says to me that he is ready to go. And now it's also worthy to note that Jai Arrow has got that nerve damage. There's more middle minutes up for grabs. I think Tallis Duncan will probably be playing a bit more middle than he expected. So that's obviously worthy to note too. Definitely wait and see, but I would not be surprised. If you took the punt on Cam Murray, I think there's definitely potential 70+ value there, honestly. He's a points per minute beast. Again, look through his old stats through 2024. And Chris, that is all the teams. And now we can talk about what we need to talk about, which is good old SuperCoach as a whole. I want to see your team first. So I'm going to get you to share your screen. and I was going to take your second to load through, but we might be here to bloody 10 o'clock because my middle rotation, going off our chat just then, scared, nervous.
Yeah. So where is my? Yep. Cool. Is my screen up?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah, excellent. So yeah, this is my team. Really, I've gone double primo, guns at hooker, Harry Grant, Blake Brayley. I had Cheese in there originally, but I just went, oh, it's not worth the risk, having, because basically you're nothing for 7 rounds possibly. At front row, Payne Haas like everybody, Trey Mooney like everybody. I've got Tania Paseka in there and Arama Howe. It was just really just to fit, just basically to fit the rest of my team in. Again, I said, look, if any of them aren't playing great, I'll just trade them out, really. Hopefully Arama Howe, it doesn't matter if he gets dual status or not, because I've got Ethan Roberts, who's enough, and he'll dual in, and then I can get Ryan Couchman in. At second row forward, I've got Angus Crichton, Isaiah Yeo, Hopgood, Dave Fafita, Jacob Laban, and then Ethan Roberts. It's all pretty standard, to be honest. Pick whoever you want, really. I think most people should be having Yeo and Fafita and Jacob Laban. Crichton, if you don't want to go Crichton, you can go Paddy Carrigan or something like that. At halfback, I'm big on Adam Dewey. I'm willing to. I think I want him, so I'm just gonna not play him this week. And then I played Dan Atkinson. I kind of regret it a little bit. I hate that Dan scored 32 only, but hopefully he drops out for me. I couldn't do Cody Walker, and as a result, I went Jackson Purdue. I'm happy with him. I'm not concerned about. To be honest, I'm also not concerned about Dan Atkinson scoring 32. He's just going to be on my bench anyway, just making money. Jackson Purdue, I'm not worried. He was like a bee's dick from scoring like a whole bunch of tries.
Yeah.
If the service had been better and Drinky hadn't been injured, he would have scored. He would have scored probably 2 tries, and he'd be on 90 points, and everybody who didn't have him would be sad.
Yep.
Jonah Peasant, everybody has him. At the wings, I talked about having 5 centre cheapies. My other non-cheapies are Farnworth and Jesse Ramian.
I like that.
Again, it was just basically in terms of people I can fit in. I tried to get Selwyn Cobbo in and trying to go big, but I found out that this Sunday at Suncorp, it's supposed to be like anywhere between 30 to 60 mils of rain. So it's just going to be a slosh fest. That being said, the last slosh fest that existed was Finns versus Bulldogs in like round 12 or 13, where like I bought Connor Tracy in on a Vibey pick and he scored like 10 points, and and Herbie scored like 89 again, scored a try, and I was like, he can't get giving away with this. So the Finns can score points whether it's rain or not, but I can't afford Cobbo, so I'm just got JC Ramian. In terms of my chiefies, it's Moses Leo, Fairmani, Macassini, Tom Chester, and Setu too. And then at fullback, I got Reece Walsh, because I don't want to get burned by him, and Keanu Kinney.
You may be lagging out, but
sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, where was I? At Reece Walsh, yep, because I just don't want to get burned by him, and I want to preserve what hair I still have. Keanu Kinney, and then at flex, my boy Nicho Hynes, Prince Nicho, and you can see he's yellow. Maybe I should look, if he can't get it done on an afternoon day game, no rain at Ocean Protect Stadium. Look, he's never going to get it done. And he just,
The Titans are ready to slay them, mate. They get the swords out. They're going to be going dolphin hunting. Get the sharks out.
Yeah, so pretty standard team. Nothing crazy.
Nicho Hynes is crazy. What do you mean, bro? Captain. That's crazy, bro. Nicho Hynes captain. Oh, I hope Walshy pops off for you. Save you the trade. Yeah, can you scroll back up for me?
Yes.
Okay. Paseka. So you're pretty high on him over them putting Roberts up there and getting another second row cheap in?
Yeah. It was more just because I had when I put a cheapie in at 230, I ended up having 130K of just free cash, and I was like, oh, what do I do with this extra cash? So I was like, I'm just going to upgrade to Paseka. I'm not super high on him, but you never know. Again, I don't think that with a lot of this, especially given that there's no concerns about job security,
Yeah.
And it's the stat changes. It's the stat changes, which means that literally anybody that has job security is worth it. They're going to make money for you in the first couple of rounds. And then once the prices have adjusted and people have gone up, then you can just move them on if you want to. So there's no risk for it.
Yep. I like that. Okay. VC, Walsh, Captain Nicho, absolute wild take. I love the Dewey. Chat. I think Dewey's going to be a very good buy for a lot of people. And that's my next step up. Obviously, I've got the double chippy halfback. He's the bridge to the next person, and then he'll be the bridge to the one after that. If assuming, or Dewey maybe might be up there as well. We'll see. Again, goal kicking looked very good. Chris, I'll get you to de-share your screen for me, mate, and I'm going to get mine going. Take over screen. Look at me, tech savvy here. Okay, we're on. So, now, Chris, 17 grand in the bank. Okay. I wanted Blake Brayley and I wanted Patrick Carrigan. I was $800 off. Absolutely crying. Could go down to Lasardi with Joe Chan. Too scared with the job security. Happy to be proven wrong. But I've ended up on this. Harry Grant due for a bounce back season. Somehow got the Golden Boot winner for the international series. Somehow beat Dylan Brown. Probably paid the award voters some cash on the side there from that Melbourne Cap salary scandal. Probably got some extra lying around. Harry Grant, he's in reluctantly at this stage. Reid Marnie, he's already got locked in. 52 points. Happy with that. Payne Haas, lock and load. Let's go, everyone. I did go Toby Couchman in the end. And again, that was the logic of high work rate, middle, modern day front rower. Got that dog in him. Bit of diversification as well in terms of players. I'm not just getting all the same players from the same team. So a bit of like variety is always good in my eyes. Dual position, 580K. He's already been making me cash. Happy days. Now, currently, Keon. I've been going literally between Hopgood, Keon, and Paddy Carrigan. I've also been flexing Tino up to get in guys, or how up to get guys in, such as Cam Murray. I've also played around with Tarpanay, getting in my team, and then obviously changing those prices around, I can get Blake Brayley in. Now, going off what you can see on my screen, what would you change, if anything, and why?
You said earlier that $600 is stopping you from getting Keon and Paddy Carrigan, and you're not willing to do it for Joe
Blake
Chan.
Brayley.
Blake Brayley. Mate, trade Joe Chan out. Put someone cheaper in there. Put Lasardi in there. And then if you don't like it, then in a couple of rounds, you can trade him again. You can trade him to Ryan Couchman or whoever, whichever big second rower cheapie that goes big that we didn't pick, pretty much. Lock in Paddy Carrigan for sure.
Bye-bye.
but yeah. Especially if you think Blake Brayley is going to go big, yeah. I really like Keon, to be honest. I do too. Is there any way that you can get Keon instead of Paddy Carrigan?
I'm so close. This is what I'm saying, man. I'm just so. Oh yeah, thanks, Tino.
Honestly, can you just nuff out Lasardi then, and then get Keon?
I could. Let's go.
I think you should do it.
Hang on.
No, you can't do that. Yeah,
down here. Keon down. Keon in. Tino. Okay, Lasardi.
You did it. You already did it. You don't even have to. You already did it. Lasardi's already in. You can do it. You made it work. Put him back in.
Yeah, boy.
You did it.
Yeah, you did it. SuperCoach. Brayley. Yeah, that looks pretty bloody spicy, doesn't it?
I think it's great.
Safe.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we thinking now? Are we liking that?
I think it's awesome. Yeah, you want to reserve Keon. Yeah.
That's pretty sexy.
Yeah. Look, Yo. I know he's a must, but yes, no, not so sexy. That's the only one.
He's going to be texting me. He scores me 75 points every week. So, I really like that. Lasardi, I'm just banking on Sean Bloor or Joe Chan. I mean, it could be a huge gamble, but could pay dividends. I guess I got 2 weeks to sort of have a look, and then round 3, we can downgrade Lasardi to a catchman, or I can find cash elsewhere. That looks really good. Okay, and I still got 2 jewels in both front row, second row. Okay, amazing. 10 grand in the bank. And my overall score's gone up. Thank you, Chris. That's why you're on the podcast. Okay, in the halves, double cheapie, pez it. That's all good. Okay, I've gone very similar to you, mate. I've gone 5 cheapie outside backs with Leo, Chester, Arnie, Setu 2, Makasini. I did play Setu 2, which obviously paid dividends. He did very well. Oh, Chester even got bumped up again. 62. Well, he actually killed it. I did go Stephen Crichton. Again, I mentioned many times that I've been high on Crichton for a very long time. I thought he was going to play a bit of that roving fullback. I think he's also playing into shape a little bit. You have to recall he did have an injury in the off-season. He didn't play in the Pac Nations, so that's worthy to note as well. But I do maybe see him playing fullback long term. Still, I'm high on that, and I made many videos on that. Herbie Farmworth, obviously lock and load. I've had him. He was literally my first pick. Not surprised. Okay. And then Walshy, Keeney, they're pretty common. Very high on Walsh. Glazed him. He pretty much got me into the top 1%. When Adam came on and just said, hey, why just get Walsh in? He's very cheap at 600K. I'm like, number 3 in Australia. I'll listen to you. You probably have some good advice. Obviously, we know the rest. Beat Chris. That's all that matters. And then Ponga came into my team in the last minute. I reckon Adam stole that pick from me, to be honest. I don't care what he says. I reckon he copied me. So
Nah, Adam told me that he loves Ponga. Ponga is to him what Nicho is to me. Yes.
I'm calling cap. So Adam's page underneath the table. But okay, I'm pretty happy. Obviously, we've got a pretty similar backline.
Yeah.
Bearing 1 or 2 players. And obviously, you've just boosted my forward rotation.
I love you. I love it. That's why I said I really love that you picked Reed. Is it really that extra 200 where I've gone for Harry Grant? I know Harry's great, but like it's the there are so many people here that just the base is just insane, and the fact that you can I'm jealous.
There's
I really like it.
Flexibility. There's cheapies to make money. Sarti's obviously a variable. Howe is a variable, but we will have a couple of weeks to amend that. And worst case scenario, if Howe does start the first 2 weeks, plays 55 to 65 minutes, he's inevitably going to make money. Worst case scenario, I'll be able to make a sideways change if he loses job security. Could even go to a Patson and do the same sort of play. That's SuperCoach, mate. We're on. Oh, I've already got my captaincy, obviously, looping Ponga with Makasini there. I don't really have a loop option where you have Ethan Roberts. That does concern me, but I do have a fair bit of diversity within my squad where I will get the occasional buy here and there. So,
yeah, that was one of my things I learnt last year. I ended up getting free nuffs in last year. There was Kieran Bradley, Kalani Goings, and Miles Martin, and I was like, that was just free trades out of the 46 that I just probably didn't need to do. I may as well just start with enough this year, even though I know that there are so many great 2RFs and stuff like that. There's only so much money you can make, so I'm just gonna have one in straight away. Is what I'm thinking. Ethan Roberts, I think, has 10 games on Sunday, so he's actually the best enough out of them all, only purely because you can see until Sunday. I just thought to quickly just talk to everybody about captaincies. Really, go with whoever you want, Haas, Walsh, Turbo, Nicho, sorry, maybe not Nicho, for everybody. Herbie, Teddy, they're all great. I just want to let you know that the Broncos Paragram will be dry, but it's going to be absolute pouring for the Finns versus Souths game on Sunday. Just bear that in mind if you're thinking about captaining Herbie. It's dry if you're captaining Nicho at Cronulla. It's going to rain a little bit at about 7 to 8 o'clock as it starts for Manly. So if you're jumping on Turbo, just recognise it might be wet weather footy. And then it'll be dry in Auckland. So no issues with Teddy or even Sam Walker if you want that as well.
Yeah. That's a good shout. And I just went through the first 8 games. 3 of those games out of the 8, I can't do a loop. So overall, not the end of the world. I just got to nail those loops. But that's a conversation for the coming weeks, Chris. This podcast is absolutely popped off, and I think we've done a very good job being thorough, going through every single team and relevant players. So super coaches alike, we are bringing this to you out on Thursday. I'm going to get it out before, hopefully, midday, so you can make those last minute cram trades before I'll get it done today. I'm locking in. I'll get it done. I'll upload it tonight, and then tomorrow morning you can listen on the commute on the way to work. Chris, we love you. We appreciate you. We love your insight for all the listeners. I know they are going to be locked and loaded. And Supercoach is back, baby. The addiction's getting fed. Yeah. Okay, guys, like, subscribe, share, tell a mate. Yeah, it helps the algorithm heaps. We enjoy doing it. And hey, if we've given you one piece of advice, start with Walsh, start with Herbie, start with Payne, and don't start with Hynes. Love you guys. Peace out.